morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, well, it's week 2 of that Omnipoke League thing which I've joined, and I'm still not feeling terribly well, and I'm still not playing my absolute best here. But we're playing against a lovely Luke Morsa, he of Celio's network, and we're going to have a lovely best-of-3 series. Or I'm going to get 2-0'd and we're not going to have a third game, but that's still a best-of-3 series, so it totally counts. Now, obviously, I lost the coin flip here. That shouldn't surprise anyone. I'm starting off with my Spiritomb deck. And this league thing is weird, right? Because it's very matchup-based. If it turns out that Luke is playing Eternatus, I'm going to kick myself for not playing Excadrill. It really is a weird matchup-based thing. And then if Luke wins, I'm not going to play that deck again. Now, he is playing Jirachi. I kind of wish I was going second. This is very much a deck to go second with. It is a deck that is all built around basically just Spiritomb. Now, I do play Sableye here to try and take advantage of big 2 and 3 prize Pokemon, though Sableye V is very difficult to actually use because it's just boss's orders fodder. And what I've done there is a very silly thing. I've discarded my boss's orders. I should not be discarding my boss's orders. You see, the thing is, I'm only playing 2 and I'm not playing a Power Pad. And what I'm doing is a sensible thing, right? I'm using my Jinx. And I'm getting 2 damage on my bent Spiritomb, but I'm getting 2 damage so that it's all on one and I'm not... If my active gets KO'd, it's not being wasted. But I should have got rid of the Scoop Up Net. I'm playing 4 Switch, I'm playing 4 Scoop Up Net, and I've got my Professor's Research. And yes, fine, I can get my active out the active next turn, blah, blah, blah. It's not what I should be doing. I don't know what my opponent is playing here. I also should definitely have used a quick pull to go and get a Jirachi. So I wasn't terribly up for this, I'll be honest with you. I love playing Pokemon. It's more just the really trying to take it seriously with how I've been feeling. It's not a great idea. So mistakes all over the place on that first turn. Now Luke has gone and played a Giant Half, so he's clearly playing some kind of fire deck. We assume Center Scorch might be a Firebox deck, but Center Scorch is the big fire deck around at the moment. But straight away, I've got rid of my boss's orders. I've not searched out a Jirachi. Those are bad plays. I don't know what Luke is using. I might really, really need it. If it is Center Scorch is quite difficult to KO. KOing 2 of them is very awkward. So being able to say KO 1 Center Scorch, 1 Jirachi, 1 Dedenne is a much easier route to victory. The point is, in this deck, I'm only playing 2 boss's orders. I'm not playing any Power Pad. I might need it. Now, we do see that Luke uses Stellar Wish on that Jirachi, grabs himself a... Oh, no, sorry, he used a Pokegear to grab a Welder. He's now using a Pokemon Communication. Now, there was a Heatran that doesn't give anything away. What he searches here should tell us what deck he's playing. This should be the giveaway. If it's a Center Scorch V, then he's clearly playing Center Scorch. Otherwise, it will be something like... I mean, it could be anything. Could be Blacephalon, could be Ninetales, could be Victini, could be Reshiram and Charizard. Which actually, with the Outrage attack, being able to ping me would be pretty good. Could be a Volcanion, which would probably, yeah. And actually, that doesn't give anything away at all. Because you're playing Volcanion in Firebox and in Center Scorch. So we still... Okay, there we go. We had a Center Scorch in hand anyway. So we are playing against Center Scorch, and this is not a great matchup for me. It's a winnable matchup, don't get me wrong. But being able to strategically use boss's orders is pretty big. And I've already gotten rid of 1 of my 2. And also... I need Sableye V here. Sableye does 10 damage plus 60 for each damage counter on Center Scorch or whatever the Pokemon is. So my goal here needs to kind of be poke at Center Scorch using Hooper or Spiritomb or whatever, and then get Sableye rolling. Problem is, Sableye needs to be Sableye, Energy, Turbo Patch, and I need to hit heads. It's a flippy coin. A flippy card. Flippy coin on a card. You know what I mean? And otherwise, Luke can just boss his orders. It's an awkward matchup. Winnable, but awkward. Now, the good news is I've got the KO on board here, which is nice and easy. I'm going to have to play my Black Market Prism Star. It's too early in the game for Black Market Prism Star. Stops me giving up a prize on my Pokemon if they're Darkness and have Darkness Energy attached. But the fact of the matter is, I just don't... You know, I'm going to have to boss his, Professor Sycamore here. But again, this is partly my own fault. Part of the reason I have to Professor Sycamore is because I didn't go and get a Jirachi. Now, I did do a quite nice play there. I used Building Spite on the Spiritomb, moved it over with Jinx, and then used Scoop Up Net on the Spiritomb, so I could then essentially use that ability twice on that Spiritomb. But now I'm in an awkward position. I really want to play Jirachi here, but I can quick ball for it, but I can't get a Spiritomb out the active without losing the damage, and I'm kind of floundering a little bit here. Yes, fine, I can get rid of that Hooper because Luke is not playing many abilities. So I go for another Spiritomb. It really should be a Jirachi. I should be getting a Jirachi here. And what I'm doing is I'm basically rushing for damage to try and get KOs, but I've got Birdkeeper to draw 3 cards. It's not a powerful thing. And I take the first KO, but the first KO doesn't matter in this game. What matters is taking out the Center Scorch. And when Luke gets a KO, and make no mistake, Luke is getting a KO this turn. What I've essentially got is 2 Spiritomb with 10 damage on each, a Hooper that can do 90, no energy on board, and a supporter that can draw me 3 cards. I'm not entirely sure why I haven't gone Jirachi this game, other than the excuse I've been making since the video started, which I know sounds lame, but hey-ho. And the thing is, right, I'm not trying to win this league. I know that sounds bad. Jack, Joe, if you're watching the lovely do some Omnipoke, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to win the league. If I was trying to win the league, what I would be doing was playing a lot of different meta decks. What I am basically doing is I am using the league as an excuse to test my dumb decks against good players. Once a week, I'm going to be drawn against a good player, and I'm going to be able to test my stupid decks, like Spiritomb, like I've got some other spicy things I'm working on, they're not ready yet. And that's what I'm doing. My goal in the Omnipoke League is to not get relegated, because I want to be able to be in it next time. So if I can kind of just get a win, that gets me a point, 3 for a win, 0 for an 0-2 loss, 1 point for a 2-1 loss. If I can just get a win every week, that will probably keep me from getting relegated, right? And maybe I'll win the occasional match here and there, but I'm just looking to test my dumb decks against good players and good decks. But it's not going well this game so far. I've not played well at all to begin the game. My Black Market Prism Star has been replaced by Giant Half. That's now gone for the game. And you can see here that Luke is going to be able to get a KO on my Jinx using Volcanion. And I play 2 Jinx and I play Ordinary Rod. Jinx is going to come back. That's not a problem. The problem is that I'm going to be in trouble in terms of, well, I mean, firstly, if he hadn't been able to get rid of the stadium, that would have got him a prize anyway. But I'm floundering a tiny bit here. Now, I need to play this very carefully. The good news is I've got both Sableye and Turbo Patch. That's a good thing. Now, if I had a giant cape, I would be able to retreat here, but I don't need to. And take damage, but I've already got enough to KO Volcanion, and I would love that, incidentally. And honestly, that's another little misplay there. What I should have done was put the giant cape on the active Spiritomb, then I could have retreated to put 6 damage on, and I still would have got the KO with a Spiritomb that would have come active, but then I would have had a 6 damage Spiritomb on the bench. And I'm worried about Tool Scrapper. One of the issues is, because Spiritomb has 60 damage, 60 HP generally. If you put a giant cape on, you go up to 110, which means you can build up to a much bigger damage. Spiritomb does 10 damage base plus 30 for each damage on it. But the issue is that Luke can then just drop a Tool Scrapper and I get KO'd mid-turn, and that's not what I'm looking for. But that would be the play. If I can get 10 damage counters onto a Spiritomb, it's a lot to ask, but if I can get 10 damage counters on a Spiritomb, I can legitimately get a one-hit KO on a VMAX. I will need a Galarian Zigzagoon as well, but I play that, so that's fine. And if I can... Oh, for goodness sake, he plays it too. I am not prepped for that. And this basically... And look, I didn't know this. Luke apparently knew this. Luke would have gone into this game being like, Center Scorch is probably a rough matchup. If he's got a Scoop Up Net, and he's playing Jirachi, we know he's playing Scoop Up Net. If Luke draws a Scoop Up Net this turn, he's getting a 2-prize turn. And I'm going to have to feed him the Hooper, because my Spiritomb are too valuable. So, if Luke can find a Scoop Up Net... Now, he needs a Scoop Up Net and a way to get Jirachi out of the active. There is a chance he misses it. There's a Scoop Up Net. Oh, and to be fair, even if he doesn't get Jirachi out the active, he gets a KO and doesn't let me get a hit on Center Scorch. So he's going to go, yeah, here we go. He's going to go Zigzagoon. There's the KO on my active Spiritomb, and that is rough, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely rough. So now we get the Hooper, and he's going to, if he's got a switch, he's going to get a KO on that. And I don't really see much way back in this game. I don't see myself winning this game at this stage. Because Center Scorch, like I say, Center Scorch is a rough matchup. But if I can actually play properly and get my Jirachi out nice and early, and build up, you know, I could have had a 6 damage Spiritomb on the bench. Realistically, one switch with a Spike Muff out, plus the ability, plus ability on the other Spiritomb and a Jinx, that is actually legit 10 damage counters I could have got on there. Then I go and get a Galarian Zigzagoon, and I'm doing 320. I'm getting a one-hit KO for free prizes. If I get a one-hit KO for free prizes, I just need to take out something on my opponent's bench, and I win the game. Again, goes back to the whole boss's orders thing. This was a winnable game, even with the Galarian Zigzagoon Center Scorch shenanigans. But what I need to play this game optimally. I need to get Jirachi, and I also need to go, in a game like this, right? Here's a lovely little tip for Spiritomb. When you're playing a Spiritomb deck against an unfavorable matchup, just go full aggro. I should have retreated to the bench and had a Spiritomb with 6 damage and a Giant Cape on the bench. And if my opponent drops a Tool Scrapper, they drop a Tool... Oh, not Tool Scrapper anymore, is it? No, it is Tool Scrapper. If they... It replaced Field Blower. If they drop a Tool Scrapper, I get... It doesn't matter, right? It's over. I've lost. But maybe they don't. See here, that shouldn't be 6 damage. That should be 8 damage. I should have 8 damage on... I should have had a Jirachi that I can be playing around with, and I should be able to just go nuts here, but I can't. Now, the annoying thing is I'm getting a KO here, but it's all for naught. I told you at the beginning of the game I should not have gotten rid of that boss's orders, but I did. So now, any chance that I could maybe take out that Crobat on the bench to get a cheeky win is gone. And we saw this in my game last week. Now, this is actually a little bit cheeky here. I'm putting the Sableye down. I want Luke to go after the Sableye. And I don't think he's going to fall for it, incidentally. But, I mean, firstly, I need to bench that. Because otherwise, Luke can go double scoop up net, get an attack, and literally win the game. But I just want that Spiritomb to remain active. Now, what's probably going to happen anyway is Luke's going to hit double scoop up net and KO the active Spiritomb, and that's going to be game anyway. I needed to draw into another Giant Cape, and I didn't. But again, my not drawing into Giant Cape, it isn't some kind of hideous bad luck. There goes the first scoop up net. It's me not playing Jirachi earlier in the game. I did this to myself, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get me wrong, this is an unfavourable match. There we go, there's the KO on Spiritomb. Center Scorch itself is an awkward matchup. Center Scorch with Goons is a horrific matchup. But if I still had a... Oh, and there we go. That's actually game right there and then. Very well played from Luke there. Thoroughly deserved win. He played that game absolutely beautifully. I didn't deserve to win that game, and Luke did. Luke played that absolutely wonderfully. That was a masterclass. I played badly, and I lost. And it's my own gosh darn fault, quite frankly. And there was little well, no, that's a lie. There was much I could have done. Getting Jirachi out earlier would have been huge. Being able to get a one-hit KO on the VMAX, which was genuinely in range, I explain how I could have done that, would have been huge. I still think it's a very unfavourable matchup. And if I had been able to do what I described, there's still a very good chance I don't win the game. But I played that extremely poorly. Mostly because I'm moderately poorly. It's a shame. But I threw that game away. But to be clear, this isn't like last week with Joe where, and I did, a bunch of you watched it back and told me, when I had a chance to Dedenne for boss's orders for the game, I had 5 cards in deck. I literally had game in hand against Joe last week, and I should have won that match. But last game, I had a chance, but there's no guarantee that I would actually have led to the win. But the good news is it is a best of 3, so off we go to game 2. And I don't have to switch my deck here, but I'm choosing to switch to an Excadrill deck. Because I think that's I just want to play Excadrill. I'll be honest with you, I just want to play Excadrill. Incidentally, Excadrill would also have had a terrible matchup against Center Scorch, but I've remade my Excadrill a little bit, and essentially I've gone nuts with gusting. I'm playing 3 Boss's Orders, 3 Power Pad, and a Great Catcher, and a Pokemon Catcher, and essentially my goal is just to either have good matchups, of which I have a bunch, or just gust my way to victory. Now, I'll be honest with you, that's a pretty bad start, but I look at him playing Munchlax, and he's got to be playing a control deck. Like, that's the only option he's got. Munchlax lets you flip a coin, and if heads, you put a card from your discard back on top of your deck. And there we go, he is confirming his control. He should know me better than that, ladies and gentlemen. He should know me better. I don't play control, and I play aggro Excadrill. The thing is, I feel really good against control. Firstly, I can just get KOs. Secondly, I play 3 Power Pad. I play 2 Ordinary Rod, I play Brock's Grit, I play Fiona to stop me decking out, and I've got Drillbur that can Rototiller a card back. I feel very, very good about the control matchup. I feel really good about control, quite frankly. I feel like it's a matchup which is very much in my favour. Not to mention that since I've switched from Zebstrika to Cinccino, don't sleep on the fact that Cinccino's attack does 40 damage, and accelerates an energy from your discard to one of your bench Pokemon. And given that I'm playing both Vitality Band and Martial Arts Dojo, with a basic fighting on Cinccino, and that's the only energy I play, I'm actually hitting 60 damage and accelerating energy on a single retreat Pokemon. We did see last week when I played Joe in a control matchup, the one that I literally completely threw away, I done a big silly. And the big silly that I done was I benched Oranguru. But I dropped Oranguru from my deck, so ha ha ha. Now that was an awkward one, and honestly that might have been not a great decision, but I might have kind of been forced into it. Because you see, I know that Luke's going to be playing... I know he's going to be playing Wondrous Labyrinth Prism Star. And that is a bad thing. Because it's going to make all of my single energy attackers 2 energy attackers. So, yeah. I need to kind of make sure I don't fall into that trap, because I've only got 1 left in my deck now, but it's fine as long as I keep it for when the Wondrous Labyrinth Prism Star hits the field. So, essentially, what I want here is I want 3 Pokemon on the field. I want, to be fair, multiple wouldn't be bad, but I'm clearly just getting any basic to swap for an Excadrill. Now, some of you might notice I am making a rather gigantic misplay here. I am being a very silly boy. And it's a complete miss on my part. Again, I make no excuses. I'm playing very poorly at the moment. Because you see, I don't really want to discard cards from the top of my deck. That's how I can get into trouble. Starly's a 50 HP Pokemon. Just lets Luke search for any 2 cards in his deck. Well, with either a Vitality Band or a Martial Arts Dojo, Cinccino gets a 1-hit KO, and I've got both. So I should be trying to go out of my way to be getting KOs with Cinccino here. Now I'd have to get it in the active, blah, 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 blah. I get that entirely. And incidentally, Cinccino can also get a 1-hit KO on that Meowth or on that Munchlax. But also, I'm accelerating energy, and I know that Luke is going to be going pretty hard on the Crushing Hammers train. So I should be prioritizing Cinccino. Honestly, now to be fair, I had no way of knowing this when we started the game, but if I literally just set up for Cinccino and maybe a Drillbur, that would be a much better way to play this game. Unless Luke goes and drops something else, but then that Drillbur could always turn into an Excadrill and start attacking if I needed it to, so that would be something to very much bear in mind. I still feel good. I'm not worried about running out of energy. I really aren't. I'm playing 7 energy, plus Brock's Grit, plus 3 Power Pad to get it back, plus 2 Ordinary Rod. And as we talked about in last week's match, and if you haven't seen last week's match against Joe, I implore you to check it out. I'll pop a link in the description. The only thing that can really go wrong against control, and it can really go wrong against control, is you're doing random discard with Excadrill, and sometimes you just end up running out of stuff, and that's bad. But I've got the KO here, and you'll notice I'm going to keep the Power Pad in my hand here, so if I accidentally discard. But if I just keep putting, like, Brock's Grit back in my deck and all of that, I'll be fine. You'll notice that in the previous game against Joe, because I benched the Oranguru, I was constantly having to muck around using Rototiller with Drillbur and then trying to use my Birdkeeper over and over again. Here, there's no issue. If Excadrill's in the active, I can attack and KO. If Drillbur's in the active, I can Rototiller and just keep getting all my resources back. And if Chinchino's in the active, I can either attack and accelerate energy, or I can retreat for a single energy. So, although I've made a couple little missteps here, I still feel pretty good in terms of my board setup is much better. Now, we do see Yellhorn from Luke here, which is not something we see very often at all. It confuses both active Pokemon, though, of course, we know that Munchlax has free retreat. You might question why we saw a Birdkeeper there with the free retreat, partly to draw free cards, but also remember that Starly's got the ability to let it attack for free if you use Birdkeeper this turn. So the Birdkeeper isn't just a switch and it's not just drawing free cards, it's also activating Starly's ability to attack without energy, which is pretty big, because he's only playing so much energy and I'm going to go after his energy with Excadrill. So, yeah, I'm up by 2 prizes, and then here it's just don't run out of resources. I feel very good about the matchup, I feel very good, and it's a weird thing, right? People think that because Excadrill self-mills, it's horrible against Control and Mill, but it's really not. Back pre-rotation when I was playing Spiritomb Excadrill, I was going to go for a hammer, isn't he? I used to play one of the other Excadrill, one of the ones from Unified Minds, there's the hammer, which could Rototiller 4 cards back into your deck. Honestly, I cut that because it was overkill. I have a really good Control matchup even without it. So you notice here what I'm doing, I'm just kind of, I've pow-padded back my Birdkeeper and my boss's orders, and I'm going to just dig for Birdkeeper here. Honestly, it doesn't really matter if I attack and flip tails. Like, I don't want to take the damage, but the best Luke is going to be able to do in the near future is evolve that Meowth into a Persian, which does maybe 90 damage max. So what I'm going to try and do here is get a cheeky KO with 11th Hour Tackle. With weakness, Tails. Would have been nice to get a KO there, but it's not the end of the world. That's not a terrible flip, because I'm still not really that close to KO range for anything he's got. And I don't mind wasting the boss's orders because I play 3 of them, and because I play 3 Pow Pad, and because in a slow game like this where my opponent's not putting pressure on me with KOs, I can afford to just go, you know what, let's just Rototiller. Just switch into an Excadrill and go ahead and Rototiller, and then just get Pow Pad back and get more Gusting back, and it's really not the end of the world. I would like to have flipped heads, but I still feel confident enough in this game that I feel like flipping tails there just meant the game's going to go on a couple of turns longer. Because I don't really see what Luke does here. Now, one thing I could do is mess up and run out of stadiums, which I haven't done yet. I've only got 2 in a discard. And then he plays Wondrous Labyrinth Prism Star and keeps hitting heads on hammers. But it's not like Joe's list that was playing the other Excadrill, the one from Unified Minds, where he can legitimately get 4 Crushing Hammer back every turn. So even if Wondrous Labyrinth Prism Star sticks, I still feel like I'm in a pretty good position here. Although, I will say, what Luke has done here is kind of genius. He's put Galamine in play. And I want to replace that, but if I replace it, he can then stick Wondrous Labyrinth Prism Star. The reality is, the amount, it increased my retreat cost by 2. The amount of retreating I'm going to do is going to be minimal. There is nothing that can get stuck in the active on my board at the moment. All of it is useful, and I can just keep it in the active and play with that. But annoyingly, between last week and this week, I cut one of my 4 stadiums. I was playing 4 stadiums. I'm now only playing 3. The reason was I wanted more Gusting. But that means that I could potentially get locked into an unsatisfactory stadium. Now, I am in a weird position here. Do I try attacking again and maybe take more damage? But then I am starting to get into range where he could drop summon and KO me. Or do I just kind of waste a turn? I want my Birdkeeper. That's what I really want. I want Birdkeeper. but I've not drawn into Birdkeeper. And honestly, I should be having Cinccino in the active. I should be prioritising Cinccino, but I'm not because I'm a silly boy, so what can you do? And honestly here, I think it's probably time to just chill. I don't really want to be attaching lots of energy because he can go after stuff in my hand if he's playing like Jesse and James or things like that, but I'm not sure he is. I've not seen anything like that yet. So I don't want to be putting energy down for him to just crushing hammer. I want him to kind of work for it. And I'm just feeling under no pressure. I know I can KO all of his stuff pretty easily. And as long as there's only one Lily's Pokédoll on the field, I can get my Fione back and just make it move. And I don't feel like I'm about to deck out anytime soon. Because there's nothing that can be trapped in the active, and because I'm using single energy attackers, I feel like I'm in a pretty good place generally. I feel like I'm going to be able to keep this rolling, so to speak. So, what's the play here? Now, we are going to make do. Again, we are just searching for that Birdkeeper. Want to draw into it. Don't hit the Birdkeeper. Do hit an ordinary rod. Do misclick. I was a misclick. I wanted the Fione and the Cinccino back. I literally just clicked the wrong button. I meant to do both. Because I wanted the Fione and I wanted the Cinccino. Because then there'd be another Cinccino to draw into. So that's kind of annoying that I misclicked there. But the thing is, even with my not playing optimally and actual misclicks, this is a very favourable matchup. I built this deck to beat Control. Because I hate playing against Control. Incidentally, I also think Spiritomb would have a really good time against this matchup. Because essentially, it's lots of single energy attackers. And although I'm not playing as much recovery, I just don't attach energy until I'm ready to attack. And they attack a lot faster. And I do feel like I'd be able to beat this with my Spiritomb as well. Although I've not tested the matchup. So let's not get too ahead of ourselves too quickly. So I'm just having a look at my resources there. I'm trying to make sure I don't do anything too silly. I did draw the Birdkeeper, which is lovely, but I didn't draw the Birdkeeper until after I'd already played a supporter. But we can wait, we can chill. Now, we do see a second Lily's Pokédoll coming down. Now, that's actually super annoying, because it means Luke can leave one in the active, and if I try using Fione, he can just promote the other one. So that does make things a little more awkward from my point of view. Still not terrible, but more awkward. So now we got the energy, and I am finally going to realise that I can actually start playing with Cinccino. And you know what's really annoying? I didn't recover the Pokemon last turn, but I did recover the energy. And again, why am I not leaving an energy in the discard? I know I'm digging for Birdkeeper. I know when I hit Birdkeeper, I'm going to be attacking with Cinccino. So why am I not leaving an energy in the discard ready to attach? Now, there is an argument that I wanted to draw into it to attach to Cinccino, and maybe if I hadn't shuffled it back in, I wouldn't have just drawn it to attach to that Cinccino, and that would have been terrible, but honestly, again, it's little missteps, it's little things here and there, which I know better than this. And it's just little mistakes, and they add up. These little mistakes add up. As I often say, whenever you lose a game of Pokemon, you can almost always, in any game you lose, you can almost always find a point in the game where you got unlucky. I mean, again, let's go back to last week against Joe. There was one turn where Joe reset stamped me to 1 and managed to Jesse and James my only Birdkeeper. There was a 1 in 8 chance Joe wins the game there by getting rid of my Birdkeeper, and he hits it. Which is unlucky. But there was a turn I could have detonated and guaranteed the win, and I missed it. There was a turn when I could have bossed his orders and put myself in a much better position to win, and I missed it. So, you can always look for ways you got unlucky, but in the same way, most losses you can point to some luck and go, that's why I lost. In most losses, you can also point to things you did wrong. Now, speaking of doing things wrong, the play I just made there was pretty good. I put down a martial arts dojo, which means Cinccino is now hitting for 60 damage. Then I boss his orders up the Munchlax, which is what Luke is using to recover all of his resources. And I took out the Munchlax. And I went down to 2 prizes, and I took out the Pokemon that was really doing well for him. And that is good. But I am now out of stadiums because I discarded one earlier and I've played 2. which means when Luke drops Wondrous Labyrinth Prism Star, and let's be clear, Luke will drop Wondrous Labyrinth Prism Star. Oh, there we go. Speaking of which, I now have no argument. I have no different... I'm just double checking, but I know I've used all 3. And here's the thing. I was playing 4. I dropped down to 3. When I dropped down to 3, I needed to pay more attention, honestly. I needed to know what was there and what wasn't. Having said that, last turn, playing that stadium was a good play. It was the right thing to do. Having said that, I'm still not feeling terrible. Remember, I've not used Brock's Grit yet. There are not many energy in the discard pile. In fact, there's 1. And when Cinccino attacks, I can recover it. And Luke is not recovering his hammers every turn. He's just got Munchlax, and incidentally, there is another one down. So, again, it's another thing which is going to elongate the game, but I don't think it's going to lose me the game. Now, I am starting to worry a little bit here. This is a part of the video where I start to worry a little bit, because, and here we do see Make and Pay. It only does 20 damage. Yeah, so he could have done 90 with Persian, which is why I didn't want to put 60 on the Excadrill. And now he discards an energy. So I need to be super careful now. I need to make sure that I get energy on the field, that I do not keep energy in my hand because of Persian, and that I don't run into the crushing hammers. So there's my energy. Can't attack yet, but that's all right. Now I can see 4 hammers in the discard, and I don't think he's going to be able to hammers every turn. So I think I've got a little bit of time here. And I'm feeling all right about this. As soon as I get 1 attack off with Cinccino, I'm going to be feeling pretty good. But then again, I haven't rototillered. I'm out of Palpad. Again, that's another one I cut down from 4 to 3. So I am starting to worry a little bit here. Not much. But there is a scenario here where I do legitimately run out of energy because of Wondrous Labyrinth Prism Star. And I know I wanted to get rid of the Galamine, but it wasn't worth it. Now, incidentally here, I've left 5 cards in my hand because I do not care if Luke gets rid of any of those. Not even a little bit. I suppose maybe the Vitality Band on my bench Cinccino would be good. And the Dedenne could be good in the later game, I suppose. If I'm desperate. But, yeah, I'm fine. Absolutely fine. What I need is energy. But I know I've got quite a lot of energy in my deck still. Ironically, one of the first choices there to get rid of would have been the Excadrill. Good times. I've got 4 energy left in my deck. I'm fine. I should hit one of them here, I would hope. I don't want to hit 2. I want to hit 1 energy. Because I'm not getting a KO here. So I only want to hit 1 energy. Cheers for that! Because now my opponent can use Make and Pay next turn and get rid of that energy. Unless I do something tricksy. So what I'm doing here is I'm using Quick Ball to just discard a card from my hand. Now I do have an energy in hand. But remember that Persian only allows him to discard until I've got 4 cards in my hand. And I've now got 4 cards in my hand. So Persian cannot get rid of that energy. And this is what I meant. A single attack with Cinccino and I'm feeling good. Because now I've got Cinccino with 2 energy. And I've got Excadrill with 1 energy. And I really am starting to feel like I'm in a much, much better position. I mean, honestly here, I could Bird Keeper to Cinccino, manually retreat, and then just accelerate that energy to Cinccino, or to Drillbur, and really set myself up for the game. I've also got Brock's Grit there. Now, I need to be very careful, because what I do not want to happen is Luke uses Make and Pay, and then uses Brock's Grit. And sorry, gets rid of my Brock's Grit. That would be a bad thing. So I am going to manually retreat here to Drillbur, and essentially I'm taking a turn off. Simple as that. If I used Bird Keeper there, I would have ended up with more than 4 cards in hand. Luke would have been able to use Make and Pay, get rid of my Brock's Grit, and remember Fione's in my discard pile. Fione is what basically stops me decking out, and also Brock's Grit gets me all my energy back. Although you can see I'm playing better now. I'm leaving an energy in my discard, or am I? Am I leaving an energy in my discard? I should be. What am I doing? Yeah, I'm leaving an energy. I'm just getting random cards back to stop me decking out so fast. But I'm leaving an energy in my discard because of Chinchino. And you can see here I'm starting to play a little bit better towards the end of this game. I managed to keep my hand size down to 4 to stop my opponent getting rid of the energy. I'm taking a turn off here because I did not need to be aggressive. I used Brock's Grit rather than using Bird Keeper, because using Bird Keeper and having Brock's Grit gotten rid of with Make 'em Pay, that could have ended the game. That legitimately could have been the thing that lost me the game. Now I'm in a way better position. Now I can Bird Keeper up, and again, I've got an energy there, so let's make sure my opponent can't get rid of it. Honestly, here I'm just going to attach it. And now I'm in a great position, because what I can do now is I can put one energy on the Chinchino, and I can then accelerate an energy to Drillbur using the attack. And now all of a sudden, all of my Pokemon, they might be 2 energy, well, they might have turned into 2 energy attackers with Wondrous Labyrinth Prism Star, but there is 1 energy on each Pokemon, so it doesn't really matter. And I know I'm just getting rid of a... Oh, okay. Not putting an energy on Chinchino, but again, I might want to attack with Excadrill, and essentially, there is a very small chance that Luke just gusts up my Chinchino, so I just use an energy to retreat it. But now I'm feeling a lot better. I've still got 2 energy in my deck, or maybe in the prizes, but I've only got to take 2 more KOs to win the game. Here comes the boss's orders onto that Chinchino, so Luke again is doing his thing. And at this stage, I need to be really careful. Because remember that Drillbur is a 2 energy attacker, and I've only got 2 energy left in my deck. And I am out of Power Pad. So there is a scenario here where I use an energy to retreat Chinchino. I then don't get my last energy, it's prized or whatever. Although honestly, by now I should know if it's prized or not. And then I don't have a way to retreat, and I don't have enough energy for Drillbur, and I can't get my Power Pad back, and I don't have Bird Keeper, and I do legit just deck out. But there is an Ordinary Rod, and there's no Persian on the field now, so I know that Ordinary Rod will get back 2 energy, and I just feel good here. I feel really good. Fione's back in my deck, and I've got Professor's Research in hand, so I can, and I've got Dedenne as well, so I can legitimately dig to try and get a Fione, assuming he doesn't bench a Lily's Pokédoll. There we go. So at this stage, I should just win next turn. When I Fione, Luke can pop up an Absol, but I can just retreat Chinchino to Excadrill and KO that way. Or he puts up Munchlax, and actually I have to retreat anyway because I'm only doing 50 with Chinchino. Either way, I feel really good. I should win this turn. So, what we're doing here, we've got 5 cards left in our deck, and we're just digging. Simple as that. Now, we can Chinchino twice, and we can Dedenne, but I don't want to get rid of my resources. So, in theory, using Make Do twice should draw me into my Fione. That should be a thing. Just double checking Fione's not in the discard. That would be a horrendous misplay. So now we make... Although, to be honest, even if Fione was in my discard, I'd go, oh no, I messed up. And I just Ordinary Rod it back in, play Dedenne, and draw into it. There's the Fione. So now, essentially, whatever Luke puts active, I just retreat Chinchino, I pop Excadrill in the active, and I take the KO. I do think that Excadrill has a good matchup against Control. I really do. It's one of the matchups I want to see. It's kind of Control, Desagoons, Eternatus, Pikarom, Vikavolt. They are basically the things, whereas Excadrill, I go into the game and I just go, yep, I'm good. Reason I did that was not trying to big time him. I wanted to make sure that if I accidentally clicked the wrong attack, I'd still get the KO. And I didn't. So yay. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're at 1-1. We're going to game 3. And if nothing else, I've at least got a point. A single point from this matchup. Though I will be honest with you, I would rather win this game and take all 3 points. Like, I don't want to get relegated. It would be nice to have a couple of weeks kind of around the top half of the table. I'm not greedy. Like I say, I'm not looking to win the league. I'm not playing to win the league. Because I don't play that properly like that. Especially with 2 decks. The thing is, I can occasionally have big results at big tournaments because I have got 1 random counter deck which is good. In order to basically win this league, I need 2. And I don't have 1 at the moment. Excadrill has some good matchups and some bad matchups. Spiritomb can win any game, but it seems iffy at times. I don't think... Oh, and I've gone back for Spiritomb. There's nothing else I really like at the moment. But there's one deck I'm working on that I really feel like I'm going to play next week. And I'm not just saying this in case my next week opponent... I'll be honest, I've not checked who it is, sorry. Whoever I'm playing next week, I'm not just saying this to try and kind of get you. I mean it. So, my opponent starts in DD... and that's weak to darkness. That should be 2 easy prizes at one point during the game. So I get my damage on my Spiritomb. And this is an awkward hand. This is a very awkward hand. What do? What I should do is quick ball for a Jirachi and switch. That should be the play. And maybe we get rid of Mew. But then again, Spiritomb is really vulnerable to bench damage. So Galarian Zigzagoon was the play. Okay, we're doing better than we were before. Oh, look. I selected the wrong card. It really is as simple as that. I was thinking Jirachi switch. I selected the switch. I meant to select the Jirachi. And things like this are big, right? Because now I don't get to use Jirachi turn 1. And I don't get the extra trainer. And this is me on tilt. This is a terrible play. This is a terrible play. Can you see what I did there? Remember in the last game or the first game when I was talking about boss's orders and how few I play and how important they are, etc.? I've just gotten rid of one of my 2 boss's orders. He's got an Indeedee which is weak to Spiritomb, gives up 2 prizes, and is blatantly going to sit on the bench all game. And I just got rid of one of my 2 boss's orders. Why would I do that? Now, getting the second Spiritomb, popping the damage over, this was all good stuff. But misclicking there so I didn't put the Jirachi down before I switched was big, and then discarding that boss's orders, you've got to think it's going to come back to hurt me. Because the thing is, Luke is a very good player. Luke knows that Indeedee is weak to my entire deck. Luke also knows I've just discarded a boss's orders. And to add insult to injury, there goes a Dedenne. 4 of my 6 prizes this game should already... I don't even really know what he's playing, but I'm assuming it's some kind of Mew to a Mew deck. Because that's the only real psychic thing we see played at the moment. But there should be 4 prizes just sitting... Oh, it's a free prize Pokemon that's weak to me. And you see what's happening here? It is not looking after my resources. That turn 1, I kid you not, if I lose this game, and lose game 3 of a best of 3 series, it is because of turn 1. Because of the misclick, and because of discarding the boss's orders. Everything on Luke's side of the field right now is an easy 2 or 3 prizes for me. I should be able to boss his orders for the win. I'm going to need a Power Pad in this deck, frankly. But that's so annoying. I should be able to take 3 easy prizes off Trevenant and Dusknoir super easily. And I should be able to take 2 off of Indeedee super easily. And then Dedenne. And even Crobat if I need it. And now Luke's in an awkward position where he's actually got to put something active. Now, you notice he discarded the Gengar and Mimikyu, because that also gives up 3 prizes and is weak to darkness. And then that would literally be 2 Gustings for the win. Although I don't have 2 Gustings right now. I've thrown them away. And this is what's so frustrating. I'm playing this not feeling 100%, and I am just throwing games away with misplays. I did it last week against Joe, and like I say, I'm playing weird janky decks. There are going to be plenty of these league meetings that I am going to lose because I wasn't good enough. Because I played a bad deck, hit a bad matchup, etc. I should be winning the matches where I actually have a chance. Now, this is really bad. You see, Luke had a brilliant play there. Boss's orders the Dedenne. And now I'm going to have to get rid of both my Turbo Patch. Now, I am going to bench Hooper because my opponent is putting a lot of abilities on the field. Oh, this is so annoying. I don't have what I need. I need switches and things of that nature. I don't have them. Now, yeah. See, benching that Hooper was the right play. Benching that Hooper was a good call. But I wish I had a bench space right now. Because if I had a bench space right now, I could quick ball and then I could double Jinx. And if I double Jinx, that would put me on 5 damage counters, which would mean I'd be hitting 160. But then I would be able to Galarian Zigzagoon, scoop up that Galarian Zigzagoon. That would be the KO on Crobat. And then it should be 2 gusting for the win. And you can see what I've done this early in the game. At this stage, I should be sitting here going, right. KO the Crobat. Oh. Another misclick. I literally just selected the wrong Spiritomb. Now, to be fair, I'd only be doing 130. I wouldn't be getting the KO yet. But I literally now can't even attack. And at this stage, I should be sitting here going, you know what? That Crobat I can just KO with Zigzagoon. And now I've got 2 Boss's Orders left in my deck. So as soon as I hit the pair of them, I will just win this game and it'll be nice and easy. And yet, I'm not. And that's what is so frustrating about this game. My silly little misplays have meant that... And don't get me wrong, right? I'm assuming a Mewtwo and Mew is going to hit the field. If it doesn't, then it is just Trevenant and Dusknoir. I should win anyway, to be fair. But my opponent has clearly had a slow start. He doesn't have any energy on the field right now. My opponent has clearly had a bad start. He's playing a bunch of multiple prize Pokemon that I can KO easily. And yet somehow, after... There's the Mewtwo and Mew. After 2 turns, I've not gotten any damage on the board. And I can't blame luck. I can blame me. And that is just... And don't get me wrong, I would rather have these games. Because I can look back and go, right, here's why I misplayed. I would much rather misplay out of a win than get unlucky. And I like being able to look at a game like this and go, right, here's why I lost. Here's how I got unlucky. But I can't help thinking that I'm headed towards an 0-2 start to this league, admittedly gaining a point from each match, when I could legitimately have started 2-0. Let's be clear, there's no way I was beating Centre Scorch this week, and there's no way I was winning Game 3 against Joe last week. They were just... I got trounced. Not going to win. I know Centre Scorch, I pointed out some things that could have given me the win, but it's such a bad matchup. It was possible, but even with a misplay, it's a very bad matchup. But I threw the game against Joe last week because I missed a Dedenne play. And again, it's an awkward one. I'm not saying I would definitely beat Luke here if I hadn't misplayed early on. But I am saying I'd be in a much better position. And you know what's really annoying here? That Crobat should be half KO'd. Because essentially, right, either, if I'd have attacked with Spiritomb when I blatantly should have, one of 2 things happens. Either Luke goes ahead and puts something else active, but anything other than Mewtwo and Mew I would one-hit KO. Or he leaves Crobat active and I KO. Or he puts Mewtwo and Mew active and I don't KO, but I put his only attacker down to a very low number of hit points to get ready to KO next time. This game should already be in the bag. Like, genuinely, this game should be in the bag at this stage. I should be looking at the board right now and going, right, well, I've got the KO on Crobat. So, when I take the KO on Crobat, I needed one more switching card. With one more switching card, what I would be able to essentially do is get Spiritomb in the active and then switch and then scoop up net. But, no, I needed a switch. Even then, I don't think that would have actually done it. So it's, you know, it's just, it's not happening now. I can hit, but I can't KO. And I should be getting a KO this turn. And when I get the KO this turn... Oh, I am getting a KO this turn. What am I thinking about? Oh, yeah, that's right. The boss's orders. Okay. So the good news is I was able to engineer a KO. That's nice. I thought I was going to miss the KO then. Okay, so we've got the KO, and I'm going up by 2 prizes, but I'm still not going to win the game. And here's why I'm not going to win this game. Mewtwo and Mew. If you look at my board, the damage isn't there. I can KO Mewtwo and Mew. 9 damage counters. But he's going to put a big charm on, and I don't play Tool Scrapper, so 10 damage counters. And here's the... Okay, so I'm finally there. Here's why that turn before last was so bad. I shouldn't have needed to KO with a big Spiritomb in the active. I should have been getting a KO with the 3 damage Spiritomb on the bench. That's what's important. And then I've got a 6 damage Spiritomb on the bench. And next turn, that legitimately becomes a 10 damage Spiritomb. Because Luke takes a KO on the Spiritomb. I would need Spike Muff, and I would need some switching card. But then, I can just retreat to, or switch to Jirachi. Ability plus Jinx, boom, 10 damage counters KO. I'm not doing it. I don't have the resources on the board right now. And here's the problem. I can't KO that Mewtwo and Mew. I can't do it. Because, now, the good news is, I have legitimately got 1 decent Spiritomb, which I'm building up. But I need a second. That's a Mew. I don't have a second Spiritomb. There is no second Spiritomb. And there's no... Oh, there's no energy. Why is there no energy on the board? Okay. We've got Viridian Forest. That's fine. Thank goodness he played Viridian Forest. But the problem is now... Am I going to Stellar Wish? Yeah. So I've got Birdkeeper and Marnie. Birdkeeper will... and I can Ominous Posture... from the Dedenne, which is pretty good. I need a Spiritomb. I need a Spiritomb! I need to start building up a Spiritomb. I need a 2-hit KO. Yes, there are 2 Spiritomb left in my deck. But I need to get a KO next turn. Now, the reason is Luke's not playing any Energy Acceleration, and Mewtwo and Mew's GX attack heals itself. So... if I 3-hit KO, I hit, he attaches an energy. I hit, he uses GX attack. But if I 2-hit KO, he can't use his GX attack. So the good news is here, I'm doing a bunch of damage, although remember, we've got to reduce it by 20 because he's got an Indeedee on the bench. But I don't know how I get the KO next turn. I need a Spiritomb. Even 1 Spiritomb might not be enough, to be fair. And I don't have it. This should be a game where I'm going, right, boss's orders, that's the win. Having said that, the game started to go not brilliantly anyway. So there's 160, which Luke is going to heal down to 140. I need to hit 160 next turn. I need a 5 damage Spiritomb. I have no Spiritomb on the field. I ain't hitting 160 next turn. I'm just not doing it. And that's basically game at this stage. And it's not because Luke's massively ahead on prizes or any of that. It's because I'm out of gusting and I don't have the KO on the Mewtwo. And the Mewtwo and Mew. And I really don't know if there's any way back from here. If we look at the board state, we can see that Luke is in a much better position. Now, he hasn't attached this turn. If he whiffs an attachment, we might be back in it. Of course, he's got Viridian Forest, so chances of him whiffing an attachment, I would say slit. There we go. But the problem is, I don't have a Spike Muff in play, and maybe my deck's just not consistent enough. The consistency has essentially run out here. My deck has just stopped working. But then again, I should be able to just go energy, boss's orders, boom, win. And I can't. So we can put Jirachi active, that's a good thing, but we need something to attack with. Okay, there's a Marnie. Annoyingly, that Hooper would actually get a KO on Indeedee. Because there's 4 Pokemon out with abilities here. So that Hooper is actually hitting 90 damage. So if I had an energy and a switching card, and I know that's a lot, and it's a lot of ifs, buts, and maybes, but an energy and a switching card here, I actually could have KO'd the Indeedee. Of course, I can't KO the Indeedee. Indeedee, if I KO the Indeedee, he will heal up the Mew, and I'm out of boss's orders. And that's my point in this game. I should be able to just feed Luke a couple little prizes while I build up attackers and work on getting Indeedee and other things off the bench for KOs, but I can't. And Luke, for his part, he had a bad start to this game. Luke had a very slow start. I think it was, what, 2 turns without even attaching an energy? And yet, he's played this absolutely beautifully. He's gone for the Mew. He is going to end up having taken 3 prizes and then have no damage on any of his Pokemon. Now, oh, well, that was a huge misplay. That was a huge misplay. I know that if Luke gets the 4th energy, he is going to heal up everything. The Viridian Forest in play guarantees he hits the energy. My entire hand is just 2 stadium cards, and I choose not to replace the Viridian Forest? Why would I not do that? Okay, he had an energy in hand anyway, that's fine. I think he might have got it from Viridian Forest. Point is, if he whiffs the energy there, I probably win the game. If he whiffs the energy there, I can get a KO on the Mewtwo and Mew, and then I'm going to win the game. And I literally left his stadium in play when I had a counter stadium, and that stadium guaranteed he had the energy. That's poor play, ladies and gentlemen. And, like, on the one hand, I'm happy that I could sit here now and go, okay, you know what? I completely lost my train of thought then. I completely lost my train of thought. I am upset at my misplaying. That's my train of thought. So here comes the boss's orders. And going to take out the Dedenne. Arguably could have waited. Oh, okay. I see. Didn't want to waste the damage he was doing. So there's the complete healing. And then that's game at this stage. There's nothing I can do. I can gust for 2 prizes, but I can't gust for 4. So, I mean, I've got the energy, I suppose, but... And this is one of the downsides, right? When we're talking about Spiritomb, there are games where you just don't get the damage down. And you've got to play kind of optimally the whole time. Stop Luke taking KO, or taking prizes when he KOs. But it's not really prizes I'm worried about, it's resources. And that Hooper doesn't hit for weakness. It's not really doing very much. This should have been a gusting game. This should have been a game that I win with gusting, and it's just not working. And I honestly don't see any way back now. Had I been able to 3-hit KO, or better yet, 2-hit KO the Mewtwo and Mew, then I could potentially stall for a couple of turns and try and hit my last boss's orders. But it's just not working. And I don't even have another Spiritomb down ready to go. So, again, here I can hit for decent damage, but imagine if I had a boss's orders and 2 prizes remaining. I win the game right now. Fact of the matter is, I didn't play well enough, my deck didn't cooperate, and Luke took advantage. Luke has played this game absolutely beautifully. From a bad start to timing the Mewtwo and Mew absolutely perfectly, through to taking the right Pokemon and just shutting down all of my plans. It ain't worked. Now here comes the Viridian Forest. There goes Professor's research. There's the watch over to heal 20 damage, but there's no way I'm KOing a Mewtwo and Mew next turn, and even if I do, it doesn't matter. So there's the KO. Luke goes down to 1 prize remaining, and there is just... Yeah. He got rid of a couple of cards in my hand because he copied Trevenant and Dustwild's attack. So I'm going to Stellar Wish. I hit... And there's a Black Market Prism Star. There's a Marnie. But I don't think there's anything in my deck that can give me the win right now. I mean, he can even take a KO with Eldegoss next turn. No, there's nothing there. There's no good attack, and there's no energy. There's no way to get Jirachi out the active. Luke takes a thoroughly deserved 2-game-1 victory. Not a stellar start to the Omnipoke League. But you know what? We're testing out weird decks. We're having fun. I'm just glad to be part of it. As always, these videos are going to be going up every week unless they're super embarrassing. So, you know, stay tuned for next week. Comment, like, subscribe. Congratulations to Luke. All that good stuff. See you next week. Bye. Except, you know, keep round because there's going to be like a week of videos. But then come back for next week's meeting. Bye.